You know, in cricket, we've seen our fair share of prodigies. But in 2025, a name popped up that didn't just break records, it completely shattered the mold. So let's get into the absolutely phenomenal story of Vaibhav Suryavanshi. And right away, you're probably thinking, this sounds like something out of a movie, right? But nope, this is what we're unpacking today. Seriously, how does a kid who isn't even old enough to drive, end up dominating seasoned pros on the biggest stage in cricket? And this is the number that just frames everything. 14. That's it. In a story that is packed with unbelievable moments, his age is maybe the most astounding thing of all. So, keep that number, 14, in your head as we go through everything he accomplished. All right, so where does a story like this even begin? Well, it kicks off on the biggest stage imaginable for franchise cricket, the Indian Premier League. This is where the world got its very first look at this kid from Bihar. I mean, just stop and think about that. The insane pressure, a massive global audience watching. And what does he do? He announces his arrival by smashing his very first ball for a six. That's not just talent, that's zero fear. Just pure, unfiltered confidence. But you know what? That six was just the opening act. What he did next was, well, it was legendary. Only 9 days into his pro career, he played an innings that sent actual shockwaves through the entire sport. He absolutely blasted his way to a century, and in doing so, he became the youngest player to ever score 100 in the history of the IPL. And get this, he did it in just 38 balls. That's a strike rate of over 265. I mean, that is just a blistering pace that left the other team completely stunned. And it was all about pure power. He hit an incredible 11 sixes in that innings. This wasn't just about putting runs on the board. This was a statement of total, utter dominance. Look, you don't have to take my word for it. When a true legend of the game, someone like Adam Gilchrist, comes out and calls it one of the greatest IPL innings ever, you know you've just seen something truly special. The hype, yeah, it was officially real. Okay, but it's one thing to have a flash-in-the-pan moment, right? To be a one-hit wonder. The real question was, could he back it up? Could this teenager actually perform consistently against experienced senior players? Well, the answer was a loud, resounding yes. So he goes straight from the IPL to the domestic T20 circuit with his state team, Bihar. And he does it again. An unbeaten century against Maharashtra, making him the youngest player to ever do that in the tournament's history. See, this wasn't a fluke anymore. It was becoming a pattern. And this is so important because it shows how he was doing it. This wasn't just some kid swinging for the fences. That innings against Maharashtra showed incredible maturity. He starts off patient, assessing the situation. Then he moves into a calculated acceleration. And finally, he unleashes total destruction. That's not just raw talent. That's tactical intelligence. And then he took that talent to the senior international stage. This time, he's playing against professional cricketers from other countries. And he drops this absolutely brutal knock of 144. His 100 came up in just 32 balls, which, by the way, ties the record for the fastest T20 100 ever by an Indian player. Okay, so it's pretty clear he conquered the T20 format, but the real mark of a great player is versatility. Could he adapt his game for the longer, more tactical formats of cricket? This chart right here just illustrates his adaptability perfectly. You can just see these massive scores across completely different formats. 101 in the IPL T20, that blistering 144 in another senior T20, and then a huge 171 in a 50-over youth ODI. This tells you he has the technique and, just as importantly, the temperament for any format you throw at him. But his performance in the U19 Asia Cup, that wasn't just good, it was genuinely historic. In December of 2025, he played an innings that people are going to be talking about for generations. Let's just break down the numbers. He smashed 171 runs. He hit 14 sixes, which is a new youth ODI record. He got to a century at a lightning-fast pace for a 50-over game, and he was just shy of the all-time highest score by an Indian in a youth ODI. It was a truly monumental achievement. All right, let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. When you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, what you get is a year of absolute total dominance. And it wasn't just about the runs he was scoring, it was about the effect he had on the entire sport.
So what's the headline number for his year? It's this: 6. 6 centuries across the IPL, domestic T20s, youth ODIs, and yeah, even first-class cricket. For a 14-year-old to show that kind of consistency, it's just completely unheard of. This timeline really puts his relentless rise into perspective. You start with that explosive IPL debut in April. By October, he's named the vice captain of his senior state team, and then he finishes the year dominating international tournaments in November and December. The pace of it all, it was just breathtaking.
And get this, his impact went way beyond the boundary rope. His rise was so fast, so significant, that it actually forced India's cricket board, the BCCI, to change its own rules. They literally brought in a new policy that young players needed first-class experience before they could even enter the IPL, all because of the precedent that Vaibhav had set.
So all of this leaves us with one final, pretty exciting question. When a 14-year-old comes along and shatters records, dominates professionals, and literally changes the rules of the game, all in a single year, you just have to ask, are we witnessing the dawn of cricket's next great era? I guess only time will tell.